And please make sure if any one of you get triggered.
Sorry, I missed what you said because of my iPad.
No worries. Yeah. So what I'm saying is there are so many root causes why relationships don't work out. That I've seen in my practice, and it has been verified again and again. So what I'll be talking about is everything that I've come across in my practice from the context of family constellation and systemic healing. So I don't know if I'll be able to bring it all together because the time is not that much, but if I'm not able to do that, then probably I'll announce a part 2 of this. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
and yeah, and another thing is if any one of you get triggered while you're hearing the root causes behind it, I would request you to please do work on that. I mean, take it as something which is coming to the surface and not something to push down further. And that is why I have to be very gentle with what I, talk about. So whatever gets triggered, whatever feels heavy in your body. So there are always these somatic charges. People are still joining, so I'm just doing a little bit of introduction.
So it's good to just keep a copy with you, a notebook.
Yeah, better. I actually forgot to put that in the community. Guys, please keep water, notes with you, because take it like a mini class. Yeah. And I won't be doing a healing on that for sure. I will announce workshops related to these topics that you guys can register for. But this one, for 1.5 hours, I'll just be talking about multiple root causes behind it as much as possible. And so whatever gets triggered for you as you're listening to what I'm sharing, I would request you to note it down and please do inner work and healing work and releasing work on that. Because your body carries a lot of memories, something that your mind cannot perceive. Your mind may not be able to understand why you are feeling that way physically. And yeah, so kindly keep a notepad with you just to note down if something comes up for you. Anything that resonates with you as I'm talking about it, note that down. Keep water next to you. And if you're feeling heavy in your body as you are listening, the awareness from me, if you're feeling heavy, I would request you to take 2 deep breaths. Yeah, breathing is very, very useful. And the recommendation from me would be to work on that, whatever is coming up for you. So the idea of me doing this is not to trigger any one of you. I'm sorry if I do that, but it's just because most of us live a very unfulfilled lives and run relationships. And until and unless you're not aware of it, you are possibly just following the patterns that
Auntie Anissa is coming there.
Yeah. Sorry?
To ask if she's here today.
Guys, please mute yourself, and I would request all of you to come on videos so that it becomes more personal for me. Otherwise, I mean, I've not. Yeah, I would appreciate if all of you can come on videos. It becomes more humanly for me. Otherwise, I'm just going on, and I don't know if people are relating to what I'm talking about. Yeah, so it becomes very human for me, humanly experience for me. Das, hi, how are you? Das, can you mute yourself, please? Dr. Shaista, can you please mute yourself? And come on video, Iram, Meena, Anna, Sahar, if possible, please come on videos. Okay, I think I should just start. Hello, hi Sahar, lovely to see you here. I'll just give a few more seconds because there are more people joining. Okay, no worries, Sahar. And rest assured, I will not be sharing the recordings. The recording is only for my record. I won't be sharing it anywhere. The only thing I do is edit some of the information I'm talking about and put it on my social media. So none of you are anyways going to be, revealed, or anything personal that you're sharing is also not going to be revealed anywhere. So it is all confidential. So kindly please be as open to receive whatever you need to receive from this small awareness meetup that we are doing. And of course, I'll be talking about this, the theme that I have introduced, relationship conflicts that we all have gone through and are probably still going through, and the systemic root causes behind it. And it is much more than what we have understood so far in our life. It is much deeper. Guys, please mute yourself. It kind of interrupts me because I'm mostly just, yeah. Kindly, all of you mute yourself. I still can see some of you. Okay, I'm muting. Yeah. Okay. And I will definitely give you guys time to ask any questions after I've done the talk. You can definitely put in your questions, and maybe it will help other people. So when we ask questions, it actually helps other people who could not, get up and ask a question. Sometimes people are reluctant and hesitant, right? So when we do that, maybe we are doing it for everybody else also. So it's good to always ask questions, and no questions are too much for me. So yeah, that is one thing. Yeah, thank you. All right, so I'll start. This is a huge topic, and something that is very dear to me. Why? Because unconsciously, when we are children, we tend to hugely and highly get affected by whatever is happening in our family systems, even if nobody's talking about it, even if nothing is expressed, even if no stories of our family systems have ever been communicated to us or expressed to us, we are unconsciously. Usma, please mute yourself. I'm muting you now. We are unconsciously carrying a very invisible baggage. This is a baggage that I was talking about in my last meetup also. So we carry that invisible baggage, which means that when we get into a relationship with a person, so this theme is about couple relationship, although there are other categories of relationships also. I'm not getting into that one. This one is specific to couple relationships. So when we get into a couple relationship, we are actually not free from the baggages that we have inherited, and that inheritance is very, 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 very hidden. It's very much under the conscious level. Bert Hellinger, who is the founder of Family Constellation, he has verified and he has observed in multiple constellations, and that is how constellation was brought up. And he's got a very beautiful quote on this, and I'm going to repeat that so that I'm able to make some sense of this. As a rule, a marriage or a couple relationship does not end because one partner is at fault and the other is blameless, but because one or the other, so one or the other, or both of them, are entangled. So entangled means they are intertwined in the unresolved issues of his or her family system, which means the family of origin, where they were born, where they were raised. So whatever is unresolved in that family system is leading both of them in different directions. So unless and until we bring that to the conscious awareness, none of us are free, even though those aspects are having an effect on us, and we kind of blame our partner for that. One second, yeah. And we sort of blame our partner for that, and we blame in-laws for that, and we blame other external, people for that, unless and until we don't see what is it inside of me that has created this kind of a bondage or this kind of a connection for me. I have attracted a certain kind of a partner in my life, and unless and until I don't know where this is coming from, we are not free. So blaming, shaming, humiliating our partners, or judging our partners, or having a certain ideas about them, certain opinion about them, which in constellation work, I call it as a judgment. So having a certain judgment about it doesn't really help. No one is free if we keep on blaming our partner to trigger us in a certain way, unless and until we don't do the inner work, the connection cannot sustain itself. The connection is not stable enough. Just 1 second, guys. Yeah. So when we are born, like I said last time also, I don't know how many of you people were there in my last online awareness meetup. Just like when a child is born, they are not born with a clean slate. They are already getting influenced by what is happening in the environment, whatever is happening with the mother, however her internal emotional landscape is, however the father is with the mother, whatever the circumstances are there inside the mother and outside of the mother in the environment tends to affect that child who is in the womb. So when we are in the womb of a mother, we are getting influenced by things that are happening in the environment. If the mother and father are not in sync with one another, there are conflicts, there are disagreements, there is distance. Maybe the father is not available, and the mother has to be the only caretaker. Or maybe before the child is born, the mother and the father have split off already. So all these external environmental situations that the child is also getting influenced by doesn't just get diminished. It just doesn't get disappeared anywhere. It remains in the field of the family, and it also remains in your body, in your nervous system. The situations that your mother was experiencing, your father was experiencing, and you are experiencing that in the womb of your mother. All of that gets somewhere stored. So let me use the word store. It gets stored, it gets absorbed in your nervous system to be triggered later on in life. So the birth trauma, the womb trauma, has a huge effect in how we grow up as an adult. And oftentimes I've seen in my practice that, the trauma of the womb, the trauma of the birthing process, if there was a C-section, as opposed to a normal delivery, what are the implications of that? So if the child felt stuck in the womb space, I'm just giving you very brief example because it's a huge topic, and I will try to bring all the concepts as together as much as possible in this time. So if this child got stuck in the womb, or if forceps were used, some form of external intervention was introduced to make sure you are pulled out, you will always feel in your life as you are growing up that you need some external support to be able to navigate the highs and lows of life. You will always need somebody to reassure you that you are safe. So there's lack of safety in the body. And such a person, if they have had such an experience, those memories unconsciously are going to get triggered when you are in an intimate relationship with a partner. Anything intimate that you have experienced within your birthing process, for example, and then with your mother and father, if that has not been resolved, it is going to get triggered in a partner relationship because of the depth of it. So the connection a child has with the mother and father is intimate, is very deep. And whoever comes to such a depth in terms of frequency, in terms of the connection and the bondage, is going to trigger that for you eventually. Right? Guys, give me a thumbs up if this is making sense. Yeah. And rest of you, I can't see you on video. Please try and, encourage yourself to come on the video. It's fine. I mean, even I had that anxiety long time ago that I don't want to come online and, how will people look at me? But, it gets better. So that is one thing. So birth trauma, womb trauma. And then when a child is born, how is the child received by the mother? Is the mother more welcoming? Is there another expectation of your mother towards you in terms of the gender or in terms of how you are appearing to her? Is she disconnected? Is she having health issues? Does something happen to her when she gave birth to you? Did she did she have to be hospitalized soon after you were born, maybe when you were 1 month or 2 months of age, and there was a very uncomfortable interruption between you and your mother when you were born? So when a child is interrupted by the mother, that interruption also appears when such a person becomes an adult and forms couple relationship. And no matter how many partners we experience, until and unless, this is something you can highlight in anywhere if you're noting it down, unless and until we do not heal what we are carrying, no amount of changing partners is ever going to release or heal that part of you. So what happens is we change one partner to another, hoping that the next partner is probably going to be better, or probably going to be more present with you, probably going to nourish you and give you all that you couldn't receive in your previous relationships. But it is still a very hard fact. And as I'm saying that, guys, if anybody of you is feeling it's heavy, that's fine. It is supposed to be heavy, right? So no amount of skipping partners or changing partners is ever going to dissolve whatever you're carrying in your soul, in your subconscious, in your body, in your nervous system. So unless and until we don't do that deep healing work to release what is it that is causing me to experience such a relationship where I am feeling this, whatever, there could be multiple things that we feel. It's not going to. So what happens is that faces change, names change, a person is in a different body, but the energy of the experience remains the same. That is what I was trying to explain. So if we keep on changing partners, expecting a different outcome, I'm sorry, that may not happen. Unless and until we have done some deep inner work, deep healing work. That is why therapy is just not for people with mental health issues anymore. It is for all those people who feel some sort of stuckness, some sort of repetition of a pattern in their relationships, in their health, in their money reality, in their businesses. There are all these patterns that we experience in all aspects of life. So until and unless we don't heal it, we repeat it. All right. And we repeat it because those stories, those patterns, those cycles are already in our family system. And that is where family constellation steps in to bring to the surface whatever is affecting you, whatever has created those cycles for you to repeat. And you are repeating it because the family system, the soul of the family system knows that this member of the family could have the potential to release it and heal it once and for all. So yes, it feels uncomfortable. Yes, it's very, very painful, to go through those struggles again and again. But why you are getting affected is a highlight that there is something within you that can also heal it and resolve it. So take it as an opportunity. So if we find the courage to look at what is it that is affecting me, then we probably have the inner resource to also deal with it. All right, let's move on. Another thing that I've experienced in my practice is that we are often trying to complete a love story, a story that probably nobody has experienced in our family system also. So there could be patterns of unhappy, couples in our family system. I often ask people in my sessions and in my trainings and workshops, when somebody comes with these issues, that have you ever experienced or have you ever seen a healthy couple growing up? Is there an embodiment of a loving couple in your childhood? Did you see anyone being truly unconditionally in love with one another when you were growing up? How did you receive the love of your mother and father when you were a child? What template of love did you receive? Was it unconditional? Was it conditional? Were your parents fully present with you? Were they there for you? Did they see you exactly as you are? Or they try to change you into whatever their expectations were? Were you loved unconditionally as a girl child, as a boy child? And the hard fact is, both the genders, whether it's a girl or a boy, they carry these baggages. They carry huge expectations from their family system to be in a certain way. So in reality, nobody is free. I often see a lot of anger between men and women. This anger is not just in our family systems. This anger is not just what we experience at a personal level, but this anger remains in the collective consciousness of the entire world right now. And unless and until we don't heal that anger inside of ourselves towards these experiences that we have had, we are unconsciously just repeating it and passing it down to our children, who too, I'm sorry to say this, will not be free from what you have experienced, even if you don't talk about it. I think somebody is unmuted because my voice is echoing now. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So partners bring into the relationship whatever burden they carry from their family of origin. It's very important to heal our childhood trauma. So maybe I'll do a little demo just to explain. Okay. And if you look at your family system, so as I'm talking about it, you can also keep on reflecting. If in your family system, nobody has experienced true love, nobody has experienced healthy form of connecting with the opposite gender, if there was injustice between men and women in your family system, or deep guilt, shame, resentment, bitterness in the family system, these energies, they become the baggage which perpetually makes the next generation repeat the same format. It's like I call it copy paste. So whatever you have experienced in your family system and it's not healed, you are actually copying and pasting it in your life. And now, if without the awareness, without the courage, if you are not dealing with it, if you're not looking at it and you're pushing it down, 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 let me tell you, it doesn't help. It just erupts. It creates a snowball effect for the next generation to recreate it, to re-experiences, because the family system energetically wants to balance it off. The family system, the soul of the family system wants justice, wants balancing it off. It doesn't mean that we are at the mercy of the family system and these energies. What is happening is, if we do not have the instincts, if we do not have the awareness to look at it from a very deeper aspect, we do not free ourselves and we do not free our children as well. So they also repeat those. And it's very important to understand, it's not about the fact that there is no love between the couple, between you and your person. There is no love. There is love, but oftentimes that love gets diluted. It gets affected, it gets influenced by the energies, by the systemic memories, by the injustice that has happened in the family. All of a sudden, so if you just think about this, maybe when you guys had a relationship, why all of a sudden, after a few months or after you sort of got very comfortable with one another, things started coming to the surface? Something starts erupting, something doesn't feel okay, something feels imbalanced. And no matter how hard you try, it's not working. Things are not coming to balance. The relationship sort of begins to challenge you in ways that is very uncomfortable. So it's very important to look from the systemic lens. We can blame our partner, like I said before, but it's very important to look at the deeper root causes behind it. So now I will talk about what else can happen. Okay, so that is why I wanted to do the demo, because it makes more sense when I'm using my puppets. Okay, so I do constellation with puppets. Okay. I hope you all can see. This is a lady and this is a man. So a man and a woman, a couple and a child. All right. So I'll give an example of a girl child and a boy child so that it makes more sense. All right. So when a couple comes together, when they form a partnership, right? And maybe when things start getting conflicted or there is some distance or they both of them are unconsciously carrying the baggages, the incompletions from their mother, father. So if, for example, when she was a child, and guys, please just remain. I'll not touch every topic because this is a huge topic. Maybe I'll announce a part 2 of this, but whatever you can take from this, I want your entire focus at the moment. So when this woman was a child, right, before she became an adult, before she formed a relationship, she was a child. So, for example, in her situation, her mother and father couldn't get along well with each other. And something happened. Maybe the father left. Okay, so this is scenario number 1, where there is conflict, there are arguments, maybe the father is abusive towards the mother, and this woman, as a girl child, experienced this kind of a man. Her first experience of a masculine energy, masculine presence, was a father who was probably angry, who was unsafe for the women in the family, and so the women and the children felt unsafe with him. Maybe he was distant. Maybe he was not loving. So there was no physical warmth or emotional warmth. No emotional bonding was there, right? So these are different scenarios I'm giving. So maybe he was not emotionally present. Maybe he couldn't connect with the mother. And maybe, for example, if this was the second child or the third child, and he has financial issues, right? So there are different scenarios. He has financial issues. He's got to make sure that the provision happens for the family. So he's distant from the wife, distant from the children, because he has to provide. So there's a lot of stress. So all these different scenarios can happen, which makes this child experience a certain form of a masculine presence. Maybe he works in another country and the mother is the only one who is looking after the children. So this woman in her childhood experienced a father who was distant. Now, keeping all these different scenarios that I gave you, now she grows up. And maybe she has seen that her mother was trying to bridge the gap between the father as a husband, or maybe she's trying to please the father. Maybe she's very angry with the father. So all these different scenarios can also exist. And this is what she is experiencing when she is observing the relationship of the mother and father. So if the father is distant or angry or abusive, she as a girl is looking at the mother and absorbing her experiences inside of herself. This happens very unconsciously. It's an energy that the child picks up when they experience something of this sort. So she's experiencing that kind of a mother inside of herself. She's learning from her mother how to behave with the father or how to behave with the masculine energy. She's learning from her mother how to look at the father. So maybe she has judgments. She judges her father for being a certain way. Father, you were distant. Father, you were angry and I felt unsafe. Father, you never loved my mother and you never loved me. I'm very angry at you. But that anger has not been expressed. It's much suppressed in the subconscious because people, when they grow up, they don't know that whatever happened has already shaped their subconscious, has already given them a certain template of love and relationship. Now, when she is growing up, maybe if she looks at other couples also, so there are other couples in the family system, right? Not just mother and father. Maybe when she looks at her grandmother, grandfather on both the sides, uncles and aunts, and within the community also. So she is absorbing that is systemic awareness I'm talking about. So constellation work is not just about family, it is about healing the system also that affects us. So in the community also, from the media, from the schooling system, from friends, she hears that this is how men and women are. And now she grows up. When she grows up, she comes into a relationship. Maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's a relation, no, doesn't matter. She comes into a relationship and she's already carrying remnants. She's already carrying a template of how to be a woman from her mother, from other women. She already has a sense of how she's supposed to behave and how she's supposed to look at a man. So she attracts a man who is going to unconsciously. So he's also pulled in. The man that we experience as a woman or the woman we experience as a man is, so nothing is a coincidence. A certain energy is pulled. If you look at it as a man or as a woman, instead of looking at it as a man and a woman, if you look at it as an energy, it will make more sense. So you attract an energy which is going to remind you of what is unhealed over here. So if the father was distant or angry or alcoholic or addictive or had mental health issues or was always stressful and anxious, she is going to pull in an energy of a partner who is also going to remind her of this. So oftentimes daughters experience a partner, for example, if he was addictive or he was alcoholic, for example, so the daughter is going to pull in an energy of a man who she has to save, who she has to fix, who she has to provide solutions for, who she has to heal. She will pull in a partner who she has to heal unconsciously from the space of being a child. So in constellation, when this situation comes up to the surface, instead of her looking at the partner and trying to change the partner, I would tell her to please look at your father. Look at your father. And then there are these movements that happen unconsciously. So it's a whole process. But in the end, I tell her, can you express this to your father? That since I could not heal you from your addictions, from your anger, from your stress, for example, whatever the experience was, I am doing that through my partner. So unconsciously, I'm trying to heal you, Father, through him. You will always see with this awareness that whatever kind of dynamic we are stuck in as a woman, it is a recreation of the energy of the father that I experienced. It is a repetition of what I could not receive, what I could not feel, what I could not experience from the father. And now, because in my adult relationship, I'm still unhealed, I'm still wanting that completion from my father, I am now looking that to complete through my partner. I'm expecting my partner to complete inside of me what I could not complete with my father. So girl is going to attract the qualities of the father, the unhealed version of the father. In therapy world, I would say, if anybody of you are practicing therapy or any form of, so what happens is that I, as this, have attracted the unhealed version of my father in my partner. Sure. Can you please mute yourself?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. No problem. All right. And because I'm still carrying the anger of my mother, the incompletion of my mother towards my father, I am also not just recreating my father within my husband's experience or my partner's experience, I'm also unconsciously trying to do what my mother could not do with my father. So, such a person will look at the mother also. Mother, I'm carrying your anger towards my father and experiencing it in my couple relationship or with my husband, whatever the dynamic is. So mother, my anger, the anger I have towards my husband is actually your anger towards my father. I'm carrying. So the systemic healing happens when this person acknowledges that, mom, the anger I have towards my husband or my partner is the anger, or if it's a resentment, if it's a guilt, whatever that is, whatever that emotion is, or fear. If it's a fear, if this element, or if this person as a woman fears the husband, so there is abuse, it's actually a replication of this. So mom, I'm carrying your feelings of injustice. I'm carrying your insecurity. I'm carrying your guilt, or I'm carrying your anger in my relationship that you had towards my father. Because it's unhealed here, it remains unhealed here till this happens, till there is a healing movement to look at it. Guys, is this making sense? A thumbs up will help. And later on, you can note down if you have any questions. I think the last, what time is it? 3:35, 7:35. The last 15 minutes, probably I will ask you if you have any questions, and I can answer them as well. All right. And please take a deep breath if something is coming up also. I'm sure you all have that adult part as well as your inner children. They too get triggered and activated. So yeah, which means you have work to do there. All right. Okay. And okay, let's think of it as a man. So if it's a man, and if his experience as a son, so now I'm giving you an example from the son's point of view. So if it's a son, and the kind of connection he had with his father and mother, okay, so he probably experienced a similar father as I was talking about this one. So a father who is disconnected, always busy, not emotionally regulated. Maybe he has anger outburst. Maybe he has his own financial struggles. Maybe he is also trying to prove himself to his father, right? To the grandfather. So maybe he has his own incompletion. This is transgenerational I'm talking about, huh? This is what constellation does, transgenerational. So whatever incomplete, whatever we see here, mother, father, and a child, doesn't matter a girl or boy, yeah? So whatever we see here, and whatever the dynamic exists here, and then within a couple relationship, it is transgenerational. It is coming from behind. It never got created here. It is so, which means it is not personal. It is never personal, 200% of the time. I can vouch on that. It is never personal. It is always systemic. It is coming from the system of your family, of your community, of your religion, of your country's collective consciousness. It is always coming from some system. So maybe your father is trying to prove his worth to a father, to his father. Maybe he has 3-4 brothers. Maybe there are many siblings, and out of all those siblings, he feels lost. He feels unseen. He feels unacknowledged. Maybe he feels, if I don't do something, if I don't prove myself, maybe I'm not good enough. So your father is carrying all those incompletions from his own system, from his mother, from his father, and he wants to be seen. So in order to do, which means when he got into a relationship with his wife, he was already carrying this story, and that story is unhealed in the system. It's not healed. So when he comes into a relationship, he is not free for her. which means in this dynamic as the demo, he's not free for my mother. My father was not free for my mother because he had an inner unconscious desire to prove his worth to his family. So even though it seems as if they're getting married and they're going to have a family, he is still hooked here.
Why is there only one remote here?
Can you please mute yourself? I'll mute you. Which means he's not free. So when such a person forms a system, it is always seen in a constellation framework that this person is not even looking at his wife, even if they were married for 20, 30, 40 years, the consciousness of this person is still here. It doesn't matter about the age. It has nothing to do with the age. It's about the consciousness of this person. So this person is still lost here in his family of origin. Family of origin means wherever his own origins were. He's still lost there. Even if he was married for 30, 40 years, he's not free. So when this boy experiences such a father who is not free, who is already affected by his own childhood traumas, his incompletions, his ideas about the world, all those things have already shaped him into a certain way. This is the kind of masculinity he is experiencing. So his first masculine experience, his first feminine experience with his mother actually shapes him into the kind of partner he's going to be for his wife or for his wife. In another scenario, if the mother and father were not healthy in terms of the connection and the bond, and the mother is having a lot of suppressed anger towards the husband who is always focused on his family, so he's always here, not fully present with her. So now unconsciously this man in his childhood, let me pull out a small boy now. So this man in his childhood, so look at this as a baby, or as a child, small one, as an infant or whatever. So when the mother is unhappy with her man, with her husband, and if there's a child who is a boy, the boy is somehow unconsciously pulled into the dynamic of the mother and father. Okay. So in constellation, it often appears as a triangle. I call it triangulation. So there's a triangulation that has happened where the son unconsciously, as he's growing up, he's experiencing this dynamic of the mother and father, and he pulls himself into the dynamic to provide solutions, to provide comfort, to provide safety and emotional bonding to his mother, which the father is not able to provide. And unconsciously, his consciousness, his energies are entangled between both of them. I call it entanglement. So he is now entangled in the incompletion of the mother and father between each other. So there is a post, I think, I don't know how many of you have gone through it. It was posted in the community today where this is exactly what was being talked about, that the child, the man, as a man, the child was pulled into the dynamic of the mom and dad and somehow wanting to be the caretaker of the mother. And because the father is absent, so the father is absent, he may be physically present, but emotionally, energetically, he's lost, he's not sorted. So he becomes the emotional partner. Sorry for the word, there is no other way to explain it. He becomes the emotional caretaker, the substitute emotional partner of the mother. Again, which means he's not free. When this person comes into a relationship, people get married, they hook on, they move on, thinking that, yeah, I'll deal with this, but his awareness, his consciousness has been frozen here in his childhood between his mom and dad, again, which is called triangulation. So when this person gets into a connection with his partner, do you think he's free? Because the place for a partner, there's always an energetic space of a partner. So this person has a partner, and this is the energetic space or place, however you understand it, of the partner's energy. If this energy is already occupied by the mother, this connection remains unstable. The connection will not grow. Something will be uncomfortable between the husband and wife. There will be a lot of resentment and bitterness between these people as well, because unconsciously this has not been healed. So in constellation, this is another movement that we do, and I'll be very fast with that because there are other topics also. These are some of the reasons I'm talking about. So in constellation, what we do is we allow the mother and the son to look at each other and acknowledge. So if the son is ready, if he's the client, if he's doing the inner work to free himself, he can look at the mother and tell the mother, I'm your son. I'm not your partner. I tried healing you and your relationship with my father, but I could not. So what we are doing in constellation is we are giving up. The son says, I give up. I cannot do any further than what I have already done. I'm exhausted, because what happens, it's not just the relationship that is getting affected because of this dynamic. He is not able to live his life freely. He's not able to grow work-wise also, money-wise, abundance-wise, health-wise. Everything gets affected because whenever he tries to be happy, he feels guilty because his mother and father are unhappy. So this child, no matter what he does, he will sabotage his growth, his happiness, his joy, because this is where he's entangled.
You have super?
Sorry?
Special.
Varna, please, can you just mute yourself? Okay, I'll mute you. Guys, please be careful. All right. Okay. So note down any questions that you may have. I'll answer them in the end. So this concept that I was talking about, where the child becomes the caretaker of a parent, mother, father, of an opposite gender, is called parentification. The adult child is parentified and burdened. It's not just a entanglement, it's a burden also. The child is burdened to be the caretaker of a parent, to provide solutions, to mediate between the mother and father, to make sure that, nothing happens. So whatever he's doing in his adult life also, that child part of him that still feels obligated takes over his life. And when, abundance is coming to him, yeah, Uzma, yes, even in arranged marriages. So that is why I never mention arrange or love or whatever, because whoever is pulled in your experience has not come out of nowhere. There's a perfect reason why we attract any partner, regardless of the fact if it's a arranged marriage or love marriage. I mean, these are all the societal words we have given to it. But what I'm talking about is what happens in the soul, what happens in the unconscious. So any person that you pull in your experience as a partner is not a coincidence. He has been pulled in to replay a story of your life, of your childhood, of your family system, to complete what has not been complete and to heal what has not been healed. Okay. And for what happens in this situation is, because mother and father are unhappy, they have not reconciled with one another, they have not moved on, right? They were unhappy, they still chose to remain with one another. The child in their childhood, such a man, such a woman, son and a daughter, cannot take that step further also. So if mom was unhappy, the daughter will also feel obligated to repeat her pattern and may not be even able to move out of the relationship if this is how she attracts and experience the mother-father relationship in her own partner relationship. So she will not be able to make that movement because the mother had not made that movement. So in constellation, we break those patterns. There is a way of doing it. What is the question, Natasha? If she's a daughter, I mean, what does this mean? Can you be specific? It goes for both genders, basically. Yes, yes. So a son will sabotage his growth, his relationship, his forward movement in life if unconsciously he feels guilty that I can't go beyond my father. I can't go beyond my mother. So whatever their footsteps were is what I'm going to follow. And that happens very unconsciously. People want to consciously move on. People consciously want to experience love, money, health, growth, abundance. But what is blocking them are these unconscious love loyalties to their family system, to their mother and father. So in family constellation, we look at the hidden love loyalties that we are repeating. And even if consciously we want to experience something different, we can't do it because the subconscious, because the soul of the family is much stronger than the conscious mind. Okay. Sorry, there was another question, but I would request all of you to ask the questions in the end. Otherwise, I forget my flow. How does one break this pattern if parents aren't around? Doesn't matter. Parents may be alive, are not alive. In family constellation, I mean, in my practice, I've been able to go to 11, 10 generations also, even if you don't have the history or the story. Through the somatics, through the body memories, we bring up these hidden situations or whatever the karmic cycle is, and we deal with it because the family field around us, the invisible field of family, it is called morphogenic field of information. It's a scientifically proven phenomena. You guys can, I mean, maybe I'll put that in the community tomorrow. The morphogenic field of information, it's a scientifically proven phenomena, which means that there is a field of family, not just family, but there's a field of information around us. Just 1 second. Yeah, sorry, guys. So this field of information around us, which is called morphogenic field of information, is what I tap into when I'm doing family constellation. So which means that I'm not planning anything for the client. It's the field that reveals what needs to be healed. All right. So that's why it's called a phenomena. It's very magical experience. And this is what we tap into through family constellation. When there is systemic anger, so these are different dynamics I'm talking about. When there is systemic anger between men and women in your family system, you're going to experience a relationship where the same anger is going to be replicated. All right. So as you are hearing this from me, I want you to also think about the kind of family system you are born in, what kind of dynamics exist in your family system. Are there many angry men and women in your family? So suppressed anger of women and expressed anger of men. If that is the case, obviously you're going to pull in a partner unconsciously, of course, who is also going to basically repeat the same experience for you, who's going to be angry with you, who's not going to be there fully for you. Adila, if you can ask these questions in the end, that would help. If someone doesn't want to marry or be in a relationship, how can we define? Yeah, of course. So yes, if you don't want to be in a marriage, basically what I have seen in my practice, what I've seen in my practice is that there is an ancestor in a family system who paid a price by being married. So one such situation occurs when there is a woman in the family who lost her life while giving birth to a child. All right. So this is one of the reason. If there is an ancestor, a generation ago, 2 generation ago, 3 who lost her life giving birth to a child, then in that system, unconsciously, there's a movement where people may get scared of getting married, or they may not want to get married, even if they get married, the marriage may not work beyond 6 months or a year. All right. So this is one of the reason, since you asked me, and so that is why. What happens if when you are born and your father passes away? Of course, now as a daughter, you're not moving on in your life and playing a surrogate husband, but very bitter too. Yeah, so these are the different situations. So which means that, so you have to be a little bit more specific, playing a surrogate husband, but very bitter too. What happens if you're born and your father passes away? So the first thing is to look at it from a traumatic point of view. It's a tragedy not to be able to experience a father and have no memories of ever experiencing a masculine person in your life, which is your father. So that is a huge tragedy that needs to be grieved. So the grieving process is very important. There is also a possibility that I've seen in my practice that when the element of the father is missing, father is not present, or there's an early death of a parent, especially a father, the girl child is often going to feel unsafe in the world, and she will bring up her masculine essence. So we have inner masculine, feminine. That is another topic. Maybe I'll talk about that in later meetups. So she basically brings up her own masculine shield. So she becomes more masculine in order to protect herself, in order to belong to this world, because she couldn't get that attunement of safety and security from her father who died in that tragedy. Okay, so the masculine shield needs to be healed. She's disconnected from her feminine essence. I hope this makes sense, guys. Yeah. If not, then you can post your questions in the group also tomorrow. I'll answer them. But this is basically what happens because of the tragedy or losing the connection of the father and not being able to experience it at all. She will live her life from the missing, excluded masculine protector and the one who provides safety. From that essence, she will live her life as more of a man. So she will become more masculine, and her femininity is not there. There is no place for her femininity because she's still looking at the world from the lens of being unsafe as a child. Even though she could be 25 years of age or 30 years of age, she doesn't feel safe in this world unless her masculine shield is up there. So she may be very guarded. Her stance could be very masculine. She will also attract work and profession which is more masculine oriented. Okay, let me move on. If there was I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the dysfunctional family roles, but it is also important to see what kind of a role you picked up when you were a child. Okay, so if you were neglected in your childhood, okay, if you felt lost in your childhood, if you were shamed as a childhood, there was abuse or humiliation, you're going to experience a partner who is going to repeat that with you. All right, so dysfunctional roles that children pick up when we are children actually creates a template of the kind of relationship we are going to manifest and we are going to experience in our adult years. Then there is another reason, so I'm very quickly going with the reason so that I'm able to bring it all in one workshop and I don't have to create a part 2 of this. Then there are curses in the family system. Okay, curse means there was an injustice. Maybe there was sexual abuse in the family system, and the one who was a victim could not get justice. So if that happens to be one of our ancestors, if that happens to be a grandmother, our grandmother, or from the father's side of the mother's side, and she went through it, she could not get compensation for it. The perpetrator, the one who violated her, was there was no reconciliation between them. She pushed that feeling of being violated right inside of herself, and because of that, now she could have passed down a belief that men cannot be trusted, or men can take advantage of you, or some form of body shame. So her experience, so our ancestors' experience of being violated, can create a very strong family belief that comes down to the feminine side of the, so to all the females in the family system, to all the girl child in the family system, they begin to receive and hear such a belief from such a grandmother, from such an ancestor, that men cannot be trusted. You cannot trust men. And obviously, if that belief system is in your family system, that is the kind of men you're going to experience. So such girl children can experience violation, bully, can also experience sexual abuse when they are children, even if they have not talked about it. They can experience incest. So incest is another huge topic, which means somebody from the family, somebody from the, who has a relationship, like who belongs to the family system from the same bloodline, could be a father, could be a brother, could be an uncle, violates this child as an incest. All right. So whenever there is a situation of sexual abuse in somebody's childhood, incest, it means that there was an ancestor who was also violated. And now this child in their younger years have gotten entangled. So entangled or intertwined with the destiny of that ancestor who was violated. All right. So this is another example. When a couple comes together, so this is another reason. Wait. Yeah. So when a man and a woman comes together and forms a relationship, maybe they're not ready for a child right now. So they have their first pregnancy, and maybe the woman says, I'm not ready. Let me abort this child. So they go on, they move on to abort the first child. Maybe they're struggling for money, maybe they're still not settled. They may have all these different reasons why they don't want to have a child, right? Maybe they want to wait and understand one another more. So there could be all these things that we have heard, from people who have done something of that sort. So they may abort their first child. What happens in such a situation is that because that child was created from the space of love, even if it's not done consciously, like let's plan a child and they get pregnant, they have it, the life that was created was a part of their love that they had for one another. So when they resort to unconsciously, not unconsciously, but consciously letting go of that child through abortion, unconsciously they are violating one of the fundamental universal law that says everyone has a right to belong. All right, these are some of the topics I talk about in my trainings. So there's a universal law, number one law, that says everyone in the family system has a right to belong. So when they have a child, or when they get pregnant with a child, when there's a conception, the child basically is told, you do not belong. They may not say it, but the act, the purpose behind abortion is about the fact that you do not belong. So just because of that, they violate this fundamental universal law. It's a very deep spiritual law, and it always has an effect, which means after a period of time, after the abortion has happened, it is. So these are all different complex situations, which I, cover up in constellation practice. So after a while, after that abortion has happened, they may have like forgotten about it, not remembered. Maybe after 4 years, they have another child, and now they are in a much better place to, continue with that child, and they welcome that child fully. There will be two things that happen. I'll tell you very quickly. All right. So when this child was aborted, unconsciously told, you do not belong. And now they have another child. They may have forgotten this one, never mentioned. Now they have a second child, but for them, she is the first child, which means this belonging has not been acknowledged. When this child grows up, they may have other children also. This child has not been given a place, not a belonging. When she grows up, she forms a relationship. she will unconsciously, not aware of it, begin to feel what this child had felt. So if this child felt unwelcomed, unwanted, rejected, unsafe, because the act of abortion itself is very traumatic for this child. So whatever this child experienced is going to shape her experience also growing up. What else also happens is that this relationship often is seen, the love between the husband and wife may not remain the same after the abortion also. The amount of love, the amount of harmony they had with each other, the amount of connection and bond they had with one another will definitely get affected. And because it's like a part of their love. This was a part of their love, right? What was this child? Think about it. It was a part of their love that has been excluded. So exclusion means you don't belong. So this part of the love which has been forgotten, excluded, not remembered, not acknowledged, not taken accountability, will show up in their couple relationship. So they may eventually pay a price. So this is the word we use in constellation. The consequences of what they did will still show up either within their relationship. So the husband may stop focusing on his wife and may start focusing elsewhere. He may start focusing elsewhere. And because it's still unhealed, it may start affecting the child who was born after this abortion. So all the children, so if, for example, if there are 2 children that they had, and they go on and tell everyone, we have 2 children, we have 2 children, we have 2 children, again, excluded. Something about this dynamic, this family system will be very unsteady, will be very unstable. Maybe the children fear their mother and father a lot. Why? Because when this abortion was happening, unconsciously, the movement of aborting a child says, I am powerful. We are powerful. We decide for your life. So the children may carry a very deep sense of fear and insecurity. So what I'm trying to explain is so unless and until this exclusion has not been brought in and given a place, not as something that never needs to be talked about, but acknowledged by the mother and father. So they look at the child and say, you belong. You are the first child that we killed. So we have to sometimes use these very harsh words. We killed you, or we murdered you. It's a truth. In constellation, we always speak with the truth. What is the truth? Because it's a truth that sets everyone free. So we say, I killed you, or we killed you. We didn't give you your place. And what happens is that these children who were unconsciously getting affected by this abortion will also start to feel more free. They may not have to represent the excluded sibling anymore. And they may not have to replicate this energy in their adult relationships. There are many other topics also, but I don't think so. I can cover up all. Maybe I'll do a part 2 of this. Yeah. If any one of you has any questions, I think I can start up with that. If anybody has any questions, 1 second. There is a last thing that I would want to add to it. One of another orders of love, it's a universal law, just like the law of right to belong that I very quickly explained to you, is of balance of giving and receiving. Okay, that is one very fundamental law of family constellation. And it is not just a therapy, it's a way of living. Please understand, when I say universal laws, these laws are very spiritual laws. And unconsciously, if families break those laws, they still pay a price for it because they come from a very higher consciousness. These are the fundamental laws of existence that we must understand, that we must become aware of in order to be in alignment with the universe, with divine, with Allah, with whatever you believe in. And just because we are not aware of them does not mean that we are not going to pay a price for it. We pay a price for it regardless of the fact we are aware of it or not. So that is one of the reasons why I really am very passionate about raising awareness, first of all, so that at least you know that there is a deeper truth that you have not been aware of, and you bring that into your awareness so that you start living your life in more alignment and you become much more freer. So there is a concept called balance of giving and receiving. So a couple relationship can only grow and evolve when the giving and taking is in balance. When whatever the woman is giving is also being received by her through the partner. If she's overgiving, for a second, just imagine, all of you guys, feel you as a partner, if you are prone to giving a lot. So just imagine in your mind, you're giving and giving and giving and giving. You're not allowing to yourself to receive. What is happening in the relationship? Just a very quick reflection I want all of you to do within yourself. So you're the one who's always giving. You're the ones who's very much sacrificial, who's overcompensating, always pouring in to your partner, trying to prove something to them unconsciously. Of course, that happens. How is your partner feeling by being overly given? They will feel, so this is always seen in constellation, they will always feel burdened by that amount of receiving that is coming to them. They will be burdened by that. It's a burden. They don't know how to compensate it back. And that happens very much in the unconscious. Their soul feels burdened when you overgive. So when you give, it's very important to be also able to receive. And I've often seen in my practice that many people who are overgivers do not have the capacity to receive. Something has happened in their childhood where it's easier to give. That way you have a control over the relationship, but the capacity to receive has been obstructed. Where did that happen? Is it a pattern in the women of your family system? Or did something happen to you when you were a child where you could not receive the love of your mother, where you could not receive the love of your father? Or maybe they were not able to give it to you also. So if your mother and father were traumatized, they were carrying their own invisible baggages from their childhood, right? There could be all these multiple situations. Their capacity to give love to you was obstructed, was lessened.
I think, yes.
To repeat that pattern of trying to be seen by overgiving, by overcompensating, by giving up your desires, by demanding less from your partner. So whoever has a tendency to desire less from your partner and overgive, there is an imbalance in the relationship. Very important to work on where this imbalance is coming from. We can spite ourselves, we can be bitter with other people, we can go on and say, oh, I'm a victim, everybody is just like that. I mean, I can't trust men, men are like this, women are like this. We can go on and blame and shame all the world for it. But if we don't look within, we cannot recreate a better life for ourselves and a better pattern to pass it on to our children. All right. So when we have a tendency to overgive, we have to learn to stop and be able to open our hearts to also start receiving. And of course, there is a process involved in how to open your hearts also. All right, guys, thank you so much. Now I want all of you to ask me any questions. If you have any questions, I'll gladly reply. There were some questions in the chat. Let me go through it. And if I've missed out anything, guys, please copy paste once again. I've answered the question about arranged marriages. Yes, all of this happens unconsciously. How does one break this pattern? We break it through family constellations. I mean, this is what I do. And of course, I've been able to do that for myself also. So obviously there is a solution. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about this if there was no solution. If someone doesn't want to marry, I answer that also. There could be deeper traumas, lack of trust in the institution of marriage. If somebody doesn't want to get married, what has happened? What kind of a belief is such a person carrying with regards to marriage? Is marriage all about control? Is about injustice, abuse? People would not want to get married. And this is something we have seen with the newer generation, that they do not prefer to get married. What happens if when you are born and your father passes? Okay, I explained that also. Does this impact if the child was aborted after having 2 children? Yes, absolutely. The survivor children, the children who are in the system who have survived, they carry a phenomena which is called survivor's guilt. They carry that guilt of having survived, and they sabotage their entire life from a place of that guilt, which is very much in the unconscious. All right, so I have answered that. Do we assume that there are hidden loyalties? Even if there aren't, we are always affected by the hidden loyalties. I mean, nobody's free from that. So we don't know what hidden loyalties are affecting our life and creating a life in a certain way until and unless we do the inner work. What if there's not enough of information, evidence about the family system? Do we still assume that there was an anger addiction? It actually comes to the surface. Sorry, it actually comes to the surface when we are doing a family constellation session. So even if I don't know this, I don't know the information, and I gathered as much as I could, you have no information about it, but once the process begins, it reveals. That is why I said it's very magical. It reveals. So yeah, since while doing family constellation therapy, the members are not present to create the concept. We work with puppets, or we work with the body. I work with your body to see what's happening. So it doesn't matter if your family members are, obviously the family members are not going to be there, but we create the family dynamic, which is very internal. So there is an internal landscape you are carrying, which is very much in the unconscious, and through family constellation we bring it to the surface, which means whatever is hidden is no more hidden. It comes to the surface and we look at it, we deal with it. Because until and unless you're trying to intellectualize your issues, there is no solution. Because the origin of the problem, I always say this, the origin of the problem is not in your conscious mind, which is with which you are trying to create a solution. The origin of the problem is in the subconscious, in the soul, your personal soul, as well as the soul of your family system. And that is what we tap into. So it goes much deeper, like a laser light. Sometimes I say I'll become like a Sherlock Holmes, trying to investigate, but it beautifully comes to the surface, and that is why it's very transformational. It is not just, a therapy. It's a life-changing modality, basically, and it helps you to live your life from a place of a lot of empowerment. So it's not like a therapy also. I do call it a therapy, but it's like a way of life that we have not been attuned to and we have been disconnected from. So we bring that awareness back.
Yes. So Shaista, I asked these questions, and I've attended a couple of workshops with family constellation therapy,
Okay.
and I've always seen, in bigger groups there are a lot of members there to represent, and the one who's going through the constellation handpicks the most resembling, characters in the family. So that works beautifully, and I've seen very amazing outcomes instantly. Also, when I
Yes.
heard back from colleagues that this thing happened, but I've always wondered in sessions I usually do empty chair approaches and different kind of approaches. But with family constellation, I have a strong belief in it. But I always get stuck that how do I replicate it when there are no chairs, when there are no people, you know. So when I saw these figures, I always thought that, yeah, that's one way of doing it.
Okay. So
How do you, the
I'm a
process
teacher
of
of
it?
constellation, as you all know. So I teach different techniques. I teach through puppets. I teach through paper. Paper. If you don't have puppets, use paper.
Okay.
I use body. So I'm a hypnotherapist as well. So I've integrated my hypnosis with constellation. I do constellation through the body. So when my client is in front of me, I have no live representative. It's not a workshop. It's not a training. People are coming for personal work. I do whatever is available to me. Most of the time I use puppets. Sometimes when I feel the client is very much in the body, they are feeling all these reactions, and there is a lot of somatic charge. I use their body. That is the juice for me. So I use it. I use their body to go dip within, and I do constellation there. So what you have seen in the workshops, I do it in the body.
Okay, I think that's still a new area for me to,
Yeah.
dive into and see how is
Yeah.
it done only with one person in the body, with what areas. More
Yeah.
aware of the other part, but I think that would be interesting to
Yes.
someday
And there is another way
figure
I
that
do
out.
it. There's another way I do it. It's through water constellation.
I'm aware of it, that it can be done through, through, like, we've done art therapy, we've done sand work, and I feel sand work somewhere, with figurines inside,
Yeah.
that replicates a little bit of family constellation as well.
Maybe, but I don't know if they are able to integrate the universal laws that are a part of constellation. The laws are very important to
Yeah.
understand. That is a huge difference because
Okay.
it cannot be done. So I'm a play therapist also, but if I'm doing just play therapy with the sand and I'm not aware of the laws, then I'm not doing that deep work which is required. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, there are more questions. Guys, it would be better if you just ask me, right? Just like how Homera did. If wife has done her lot of inner work, but husband doesn't believe in inner working. So what happens in this case is that there will be a natural disconnect between the both partners. If both the partners are not doing the inner work, if they're not investing in their own inner evolution, naturally after a few years, the connection will lose its momentum and they may drift apart. So the wife actually cannot do anything about it. I mean, it's a hard thing to talk about. Either the wife can go back to how things were, which may not happen, or the universe is going to bring in another partner who is going to resonate with her new level of awareness. And we can't stop that process also. Okay, so I mean, I've seen this in all these, experiences, that a new person may emerge if the previous partner is not evolving alongside. And there is nothing good or bad about it. It is what it is.
Shaista, if I may
Yeah,
ask you, you mentioned that there are these universal laws. Now, what
Yes.
universal laws are you talking about?
Okay, there is a law of hierarchy, and these are all training topics, but I'll tell you very quickly. First law is the right to belong. Everyone in the family system has a right to belong, and when that belonging has not been honored, there will be repercussions, there will be consequences. All right, so this is one law that we work with, and there are many, 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 many themes around this law. Okay, the second law is about respecting hierarchy. There's an order. So I'm not before my parents, right? And my grandparents are not before my parents. So I'm not before them. So there's, if you think of the metaphor of river, so the river flows in one direction. So if a child in that family system tries to be the caretaker of the parent, trying to rescue parents and their marriage and all, so they're actually going into the reverse order of the family system, of the hierarchy. So just imagine if you have to go against the current of the river, how do you feel? It feels extremely.
So what happens in that situation?
So when a hierarchy is reversed, and it's a very, very classic situation I've seen all the time, there will be consequences. Similar to what I was talking about, a parentified child. A child who is parentified has taken up the role of one of the missing grandparent. So if some of you are parentified with your with your mother and father, with your father. So, okay, for example, with your father, you are parentified with your father, wanting to rescue him, provide for him, support him, la la la. Systemically, what has been seen is that probably you are playing the role of the missing mother of the father. So we have to see what happened. Like, so my question to such a person would be, is there a missing mother or father behind your father? What happened to your grandmother, paternal grandmother? What happened to your paternal grandfather? So the child is unconsciously pulled in a dynamic of a grandparent in terms of the hierarchy. I hope this makes sense, right? And then there are these consequences, which means a child is not free. They have skipped a generation, 2 generations. So energetically, they have skipped 2 generations and they're not in their rightful place. So they may experience what the grandparent, the missing grandparent, experienced. So if the paternal grandfather was missing and he died with a health issue, the parentified child, when they grow up, will also start having health issues. So that is a consequence I'm talking about, because the rightful hierarchy has not been acknowledged, has not been honored. All right. So this is the second law. And the third law is of balance of giving and receiving, which is what I was explaining. Of course, these are very, very themed topics. So it's very important to see. So in case of a parent, we cannot compensate our parents for what they did for us. So as a child, if I feel obligated to serve and protect my parent, I am actually imbalancing the relationship. We need to honor and receive what we receive from our parents and let go of the desire to compensate. Okay? So the act of balancing between a child and a parent cannot happen, even if we consciously want to. I hope.
And what happens? No, it makes a lot of sense, and I completely understand. Because many times the child is, I mean, especially if the child is the eldest, is made to be the caretaker of.
Yeah.
And that has consequences.
A lot of consequences. They will have health issues. They will feel, so if they are parentified with their mother, if a son is parentified with the mother, they are also like a rival to their father. So they miss out on the masculine experience, the experience of being a child, basically. And the parentification may have happened when this child was just 5, 6, 10 years of age.
Or earlier, maybe.
Or even earlier, when because of the missing father's energy, the child is pulled into that dynamic to take care of the mother.
Yeah.
So they cannot get into an adult relationship with a steady partner.
Another scenario would be that where the parents put part of the responsibility on the older child to, take care of the siblings, etc. The one question I wanted to ask you is, what happens if the parent is an adopted child? How does that play in the dynamics?
Yeah. So in terms of the right to belong, the first order I was explaining, right? The biological family of the parent. So if my parent, for example, was an adopted child, so the biological family of my father, who was an adopted child, is excluded. Not honored, not remembered. So it doesn't mean that you have to meet them. Sometimes children are just given away, right?
Yes.
And now they have no idea who the parent was. But in family constellation, we bring that. We work with those energies. It's a very experiential thing to experience. It's very magical. So we allow the biological excluded family and the siblings. Father may have had siblings also, right? And maybe there were financial constraints. They couldn't provide for so many children, so they gave one away. So there are siblings excluded. A whole system is excluded. So adoption is a huge theme I talk about in my trainings, okay? And if it comes up in workshops also, then I explain. So the biological system has to be included back. And if that's not included, so if, for example, I was giving you an example of my father, if he was adopted and that system is excluded, the biological, what will happen is that my father actually passes on his anger towards his system that he is carrying at a soul level to his children. So his children carry the anger from the father towards the biological family system, which is excluded.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
so
was
it's
very
so it's very important to bring them back and honor them. So there are different practices we do, there are different ways we include them. Yeah. Thank you, Deepika. Anybody else? I can take one more question, guys, because it's almost 8:30 now. I can take one question. If somebody's feeling triggered, please note it down and think of it as a work that you have to do. If you
Shaista,
don't do,
I would like to ask a
sure,
question
Tuba. Yeah.
related to Deepika's question. When this child who is adopted, when he was given to somebody else, actually the child was excluded. What I
Yeah.
am understanding, not
So
that
when
family,
the
not
biological family is excluded, this child is also excluded from that system now. So it goes
exactly.
both ways.
They disowned this child. So actually the child was excluded, or
Was
the
excluded,
family
but
was excluded.
so when the child grows up, now that system is also excluded. It's going on both ways. So the exclusion will affect that system for sure.
Is it because he forgot about his biological family? That is the reason it's the
It's
family is
not about
excluded.
forgetting or remembering. It's about not having to experience it. So, he wasn't able to experience them. And oftentimes when an adoption happens, people don't tell their children that you were adopted.
Yeah.
I've had these cases.
Yes.
It's a very common thing. I
Okay.
mean, yeah, so they're not told about it also, which means the adopted parents, the parents who are adopting this child, are also excluding the biological parents by not talking about it.
Shaista, there's one thing I want to just quickly add to it, because a lot of studies have now been coming up that, there is a relationship of the mother and child in the womb only. So, whatever neurons and whatever neurotransmitters the child while growing up is getting, maybe in the first month of the birth or till the 9th month, till he's developing, some of that I think does stay with the child in his body, in the memory also, because children can hear in the womb.
From day one, huh, Humaira?
Yeah.
It's not
So
even
that does
1
add
month.
to it.
Yes, in constellation, I've seen it again and again. It's the day of conception that you start getting affected by that. I think in my trainings, when I do that womb healing process with my students, they experience it. Right from day one, it happens. So after 2 weeks, when the mom and dad finds out that there is a child and they abort it, that 2 weeks of a brief life still has an effect on that entire family system.
Definitely. I think that's why sometimes even during therapy sessions, a lot of questions are asked, what type of a delivery was yours? Whether it was a C-section, it was a complicated delivery, it was a natural delivery.
Were you kept in an incubator?
Yes,
So
exactly.
it was
So that trauma also compiles
absolutely.
together.
So before we do anything else, we have to do the birth and womb trauma healing. Otherwise, the person will keep on looping back in the same pattern. Yes, any other question? Last question. And is it also, thank you there. And it is also hard, especially if you love your spouse a lot. Yes. All right, guys, you are still welcome to post your questions in the community today, tomorrow, day after. Allow some time for this information to get integrated. It can be a little triggering. It can be also healing. I don't know. It can be your own experience. If you have any concerns, any questions, please feel free to put it in the community so that people are able to authentically open up about their personal issues. So instead of messaging me personally, yes, that's fine. I mean, I always answer personally myself, but my intention is for everybody else to feel open and okay about sharing their concerns within the community so that it becomes normal to talk about difficult conversations. All right. Thank you so much, guys. And I'll definitely see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Shaista.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.